Good morning. All right, I'd like folks to find a seat if they can. Looks like we got a full house. And thank you. And with that, call to order the May 2019 meeting of the University of Minnesota's Board of Regents. Before we begin our business for the day, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that we have three of our four new regents with us at the table today: Mary Davenport, Mike Kenyanya, and Jeannie Mayeron. These three were elected less than 24 hours ago, along with a fourth new regent, Eileen Herr. And Regent Herr is not able to be with us today, here with us today, due to a previously scheduled commitment. So I'd like to take this opportunity to let Regent Davenport, Kenyanya, and Mayeron, perhaps in that order, give us a quick vignette about themselves and their interest in the university and how they got here. So, Regent Davenport, would you jump in first? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair McMillan and Regents and the audience. I'm very honored to be here this morning, and I'm anxious to learn. I've got a lot to learn, although I've got over 30 years of higher ed experience in the classroom through a presidency. It's been in a different system, and so I'm excited to expand that perspective and learn more about the University of Minnesota. I come from Mankato and have recently been in Rochester, so I'm proud to be acquainted with University of Minnesota Rochester, as well as been on the campuses of others in the state. So thank you, I'm honored.
Outstanding. Thank you. And Regent Kenyanya.
Thank you, Chair McMillan, members, and more importantly, the university community. It's an honor to be on this board and to be able to serve. Chair McMillan asked what our interest in the university is. Initially, it was just to get a bachelor's degree, but that changed over the years, and I've been able to serve in student government on the Duluth campus, and my sophomore year was student rep to the board, so I'm not completely a stranger to this room, but this side of it is definitely weird, and I'm looking forward to continuing to serve the university.
I think we first met at Molosky Stadium when you were a freshman.
Homecoming game, Mr. Chair.
It's great to have you here, Regent Kenyanya. And Regent Mayeron.
Thank you very much, Chairman McMillan, and again, thank you to all the fellow board members and to those here in the audience. I am the regent for the 5th District. I am a two-time Gopher, meaning I did my undergrad here and my law school work here as well. I was alumni president back in the mid-90s. I have to tell you, being a regent is something I've wanted to do ever since I was actively involved in the Alumni Association, and I am absolutely thrilled to be here today. I intend to act like a sponge and soak in as much information as I can. I know there's a steep learning curve, but I'm committed, as are my colleagues, to working very hard for the University of Minnesota. Very excited to be here today. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much. And I think on behalf of the board, it goes without saying that you three and Regent Herr have been through quite a process, and congratulations on behalf of the board and the university community. Looking forward to having you here for the next 6 years. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Linda Cohen, Dean Johnson, Peggy Lucas, and Abdul Omari for their exceptional and tireless service to this university. We will have a much more formal opportunity to recognize their service later this year, which is our custom and practice. We don't have that date set yet, but we will get to that. Now, let's move on to the business before the board, and it is marvelous business indeed. President Kaler will begin by recognizing University of Minnesota award recipients, National Academy inductees, National Scholarship recipients, and NCAA champion athletes. President Kaler and Provost Hanson, I turn it over to you, and I'll join you over at the podium. Very good.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. I'm honored to be here today with President Kaler, Chair McMillan, Board of Regents, and members of our university community to recognize a number of outstanding faculty, staff, and students who've made particularly important contributions to the university. This morning, we'll be recognizing the recipients of the following awards: the Distinguished McKnight University and McKnight Land Grant Professors, the McKnight Presidential Fellows, newly elected members of the National Academies, newly named members of the university's Academy of Distinguished Teachers, individuals who have received either the Horace T. Morse University of Minnesota Alumni Association Award for outstanding contributions to undergraduate education, or the Outstanding Contributions to Post-Baccalaureate Graduate and Professional Education Award. Also, recipients of the Tate Award for Excellence in Undergraduate Advising, the Outstanding Community Service Awards, the Community Engaged Scholar Award, the President's Award for Outstanding Service, the National Scholarship recipients, and the NCAA Championships. Award recipients, during the ceremony, when your name is announced, please come up and join Chair McMillan and President Kaler at the Regents seal for a photo, and then step to your right and wait for the rest of the recipients of your particular award to be recognized. Then we'll ask you to pose for a group photo before you have an opportunity to walk around the horseshoe to greet the Regents and return to your seat. So, our first awards are the Distinguished McKnight University Professor Awards. These awards recognize and reward our most outstanding mid-career faculty. Recipients are honored with the title Distinguished McKnight University Professor, which they will hold for as long as they remain at the university. The grant associated with the professorship consists of $100,000 to be expended over 5 years. The winners were chosen on the basis of their scholarly achievements and their potential for even greater distinction in their fields, the extent to which their achievements have brought distinction to the University of Minnesota, the quality of their teaching and advising, and their contributions to the wider community. Recipients will receive a medallion and a certificate that reads, "The Regents of the University of Minnesota, on the advice of the faculty and the Executive Vice President and Provost, hereby appoint the faculty member as a Distinguished McKnight University Professor in recognition of outstanding academic achievement with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities attached thereto." And it's signed by Brian Steeves, Secretary of the Board, Eric W. Kaler, President, and David McMillan, Board Chair. There are 7 recipients this year. First is Deborah A. Farrington, Ophthalmology and Visual Neurosciences, Medical School, Twin Cities. Susan D. Jones, Ecology, Evolution, and Behavior, College of Biological Sciences, Twin Cities. Richard M. Lee, Psychology, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Vuk Madic, School of Physics and Astronomy, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. Kevin D. Wickman, Pharmacology, Medical School, Twin Cities. Two recipients of the award were not able to attend today, but I want to make mention of their receiving the award: Christy L. Haynes, Chemistry, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities, and San Yun Ho, Electrical and Computer Engineering, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. Please join me in congratulating these distinguished McKnight University. And now, the McKnight Land Grant Professorship, which is a two-year appointment that includes a research grant of $25,000 in each of the 2 years. Recipients will receive a certificate today that reads, "The Regents of the University of Minnesota, on the advice of the faculty and the Executive Vice President and Provost, hereby appoint you as the 2019-2021 McKnight Land Grant Professor in recognition of significant potential for academic distinction, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities attached thereto." And it's signed by Brian Steves, Executive Director, Eric Kaler, President, and Dave McMillan, Board Chair. The 10 recipients this year are Emeline U. Alejandro, Integrated Biology and Physiology, Medical School, Twin Cities. Gabriel Chan, Humphrey School of Public Affairs, Twin Cities. Lorenzo Fabri, French and Italian, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Sohail Mohajer, Electrical and Computer Engineering, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. Vlad S. Prebiag, Physics and Astronomy, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. Michael J. Smansky, Biochemistry, Molecular Biology, and Biophysics, College of Biological Sciences, Twin Cities. Scott Vries, Psychology, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. And three recipients of the award were not able to attend today, but I want to mention them. Nicole E. Basta, Epidemiology and Community Health, School of Public Health, Twin Cities. Jessica Gordon Roth, Philosophy, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. And Juliana Hupelwies, American Indian Studies, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Please join me in congratulating our newest McKnight Land Grant professors.
Congratulations, Muller. Congratulations. You must know a little bit about metagenomics as well. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations again.
Next, the McKnight Presidential Fellows. This program gives three-year awards to exceptional faculty who've been newly granted tenure and promotion to associate professor to recognize their accomplishments and support their ongoing research and scholarship. Recipients will today receive a certificate that reads, "The Regents of the University of Minnesota, on the advice of the faculty and the Executive Vice President and Provost, hereby appoint you as a 2019-2022 McKnight Presidential Fellow in recognition of significant accomplishments and great promise for future academic distinction, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities attached thereto." And it's signed by Brian Steves, Eric Kaler, and Dave McMillan. The 7 recipients this year are Annie Laurie McRee, Pediatrics, Medical School, Twin Cities. Samya Sen, Information and Decision Sciences, Carlson School of Management, Twin Cities. David M. Vach, Biostatistics, School of Public Health, Twin Cities. Jason J. Wolf, Educational Psychology, College of Education and Human Development, Twin Cities. Ri Zhang, Pharmaceutical Care and Health Systems, College of Pharmacy, Twin Cities. Two additional recipients were not able to attend today, but let me mention their names. Tony Lowe, Electrical and Computer Engineering, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities, and Terrian L. Williamson, who many of you, all of you really met yesterday at the Mission Fulfillment Committee in African American and African Studies, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. So please join me in congratulating our newest McKnight Presidential Fellows.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations again. Thank you. Congratulations again. Thank you. Congratulations. Well earned.
Next, We'd like to recognize those individuals who've been elected to the national academies, which comprise the National Academy of Sciences, the National Academy of Engineering, and the Institute of Medicine. These are private, nonprofit institutions that provide expert advice on some of the most pressing challenges facing the nation and the world. Election to the academies is a mark of recognition by peers in the field that one is at the top of the game. These are the people from whom you want to get expert advice. The academies produce groundbreaking reports that have helped shape sound policies, inform public opinion, and advance the pursuit of science, engineering, and medicine. Inducted into the National Academies this year is Daniel Voitas, McKnight Presidential Endowed Professor, College of Biological Sciences, Twin Cities. Also inducted into the National Academy of Sciences this year, but I'm not certain if she's here, is Marlene Zook. Is Marlene here? No, okay. But she's a professor in the Department of Ecology, Evolution, and Behavior, College of Biological Sciences, Twin Cities. While Daniel's going around, I'll just mention that in the university in its history has had, I think, I'm trying to think of how many National Academy members we've had, but 44, I think, and 8 of them have been in the College of Biological Sciences, which is a pretty small college. 5 of current faculty in CBS are in the National Academies, and 4 of the 5 are in EEB, which is Marlene's area. Okay, now we would like to honor those who've been named to the university's Academy of Distinguished Teachers. First, we recognize the recipients of the Horace T. Morse University of Minnesota Alumni Association Award for outstanding contributions to undergraduate education. Each year since 1965, the University of Minnesota has recognized exceptional teachers for their outstanding contributions to undergraduate education. The award represents the highest recognition by the university community of some of its most distinguished scholar teachers. Recipients will receive a certificate today that reads, "In recognition of excellence in teaching, advising, research and creative activities, academic program development, and educational leadership, the Senate Committee on Educational Policy, in conjunction with the Office of the Executive Vice President and Provost and the University of Minnesota Alumni Association, confers upon you the Horace T. Morse University of Minnesota Alumni Association Award for outstanding contributions to undergraduate education." And again, it's signed by Jennifer Goodnow, Senate Committee on Educational Policy Chair, Eric W. Kaler, President, and Dave McMillan, Board Chair. This year, we recognize Sue Chu, Design, Housing and Apparel, College of Design, Twin Cities. Catherine E. Wolfgram, French, Civil, Environmental, and Geoengineering, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. Daniel F. Keefe, Computer Science and Engineering, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. Psychology, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Rebecca Dean Swenson, Agricultural Education, Communication and Marketing, College of Food, Agricultural and Natural Resource Sciences, Twin Cities. Two award winners could not be with us today, but I want to mention their names: Eric Daig, English, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities, and Michael Lauer, History, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Oh, actually three, I think. Lisa Miller, Industrial Systems and Engineering, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. In any case, please join me in congratulating the recipients of this year's Horace G. Morse.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Also inducted into the Academy of Distinguished Teachers are the recipients of the Award for Outstanding Contributions to Graduate and Professional Education. In 1996, the Senate Committee on Educational Policy initiated discussions about establishing an award for graduate and professional teaching that would parallel the Morse Award for undergraduate teaching. SCEP members realized that many exceptional faculty members are ineligible for the Morse Award because their contributions to the university's educational mission come primarily from teaching and mentoring graduate and professional students. SCEP and the provost at that time came together to establish the award, which recognizes faculty members for excellence in graduate and professional teaching. Recipients will receive a certificate today that reads, "In recognition of excellence in instruction, instructional program development, intellectual distinction, advising and mentoring, and involving students in research, scholarship, and professional development, the Senate Committee on Educational Policy, in conjunction with the Office of the Executive Vice President and Provost and the University of Minnesota Alumni Association, confers upon you this award for outstanding contributions to graduate and professional education." And it's signed by Jennifer Goodnow, Senate Committee on Educational Policy Chair, Eric W. Kaler, and David McMillan. The recipients of the award this year are James Pagan, Health Policy and Management, School of Public Health, Twin Cities. Daniel Bowley, Computer Science and Engineering, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. Anhill Dewan, Writing Studies, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Monica Luciana, Psychology, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Susan O'Connor Vaughn, Nursing, School of Nursing, Twin Cities. Julie Schumacher, English, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Larry F. Wolf, Developmental and Surgical Sciences, School of Dentistry, Twin Cities. One additional award winner couldn't be with us today, but that's Megan R. Gunner, Institute of Child Development, College of Education and Human Development, Twin Cities. Please join me in congratulating the recipients of this year's outstanding contributions to graduate and professional education.
Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Our next award is the John Tate Award for Excellence in Undergraduate Advising. John Tate was a professor of physics and first dean of the University College, served from 1930 to 1941. And these namesake awards recognize and reward high-quality academic advising and call attention to the contribution academic advising makes to helping students formulate and achieve intellectual, career, and personal goals. By highlighting examples of outstanding advising, the Tate Awards both identify professional models and celebrate the role that academic advising plays in the university's educational mission. The recipients of the award this year are Leah Milojevic, Assistant Director of CLA, Diversity, Access, and Equity Programs, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. And Kei Nobuo Taketsuku, Senior Academic and Career Coach, Center for Academic Planning and Exploration, Office of Undergraduate Education, Twin Cities. Perry Thielander, Director of Student Success Coaching, BSHS and BSHP Programs, Rochester. And Francis Wood, Academic Advisor, Electrical and Computer Engineering, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. Please join me in congratulating the recipients of this year's John Tate Award.
Thank you very much.
Very impressive.
Our next award is the Outstanding Community Service Award, which recognizes contributions and accomplishments of faculty, staff, or university-affiliated community members who devoted their time and talent to make substantial and enduring contributions to the external community and to improve public life and the well-being of society. The award is grounded on the mission of the university as a publicly engaged institution. The recipients of the award have engaged in work that has improved the lives of countless people in critical and lasting ways at the local, state, national, and international levels. The recipients of the award this year are Donald Wise, Professor, College of Food, Agricultural, and Natural Resource Sciences, Twin Cities. And the Student Award goes to Siddharth Bharat, PhD candidate, College of Biological Sciences, Twin Cities. And the Staff Award goes to Elaine Evans, Assistant Extension Professor, College of Food, Agricultural, and Natural Resource Sciences, Twin Cities. The Community Partner Award goes to Jenny Collins, University YMCA. Please join me in congratulating all of this year's outstanding.
I'm sorry, as a student, I don't feel comfortable shaking the hands of this board of regents that has chosen not to respect what students and faculty feel about the namings of buildings on this campus and how we want to engage with our campus history. I feel like their decision last 2 weeks ago when I was in this room could have met our demands and done more, rather than saying we do not want to meet these demands so that we can do more. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Hanson. It's now my pleasure to recognize the winner of the President's Community Engaged Scholar Award. The President's Community Engaged Scholar Award is a system-wide award that recognizes one faculty or P&A individual annually for exemplary community engaged scholarship in his or her field of inquiry. The faculty or P&A recipient will have demonstrated a long-standing academic career that embodies the University of Minnesota's definition of public engagement. The recipient of this year's award is unable to attend, but please join me in congratulating Greg Lindsay, Professor, Urban and Regional Planning Area, Humphrey School of Public Affairs, Twin Cities. Our next award is the President's Award for Outstanding Service. This award was established in 1997 to recognize faculty and staff who have provided exceptional service to the University of Minnesota. The award honors active or retired faculty or staff members who have gone well beyond their regular duties and have demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to the university community. I'd like to invite the award recipients to join us at the front of the room as I call their names. First is Tammy Berberi, Associate Professor, Division of Humanities, Morris. Jenny Casper, Director of Community Engagement and Career Development, Rochester. Raymond Duvall, Special Assistant to the Provost for Grand Challenges Research and a Professor in the Department of Political Science, College of Liberal Arts in the Twin Cities. Gary Gardner, Professor, Department of Horticultural Science, College of Food, Agriculture, and Natural Resource Sciences in the Twin Cities. Maria Jenny, Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, College of Science and Engineering in the Twin Cities campus. Linda Hendershot, Clinical Supervisor, Department of Speech, Language, Hearing Sciences, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Anna Werta Kosobsky, Assistant Professor, Department of Biomedical Sciences in the Medical School, Duluth. Christina Mueller, Senior Executive Associate Dean for Academic Programs and a Professor in the School of Nursing on the Twin Cities campus. Noelle Noonan, Director of Student Affairs and the Registrar, Law School, Twin Cities. Rivellen Perel, Professor Emeriti, College of Liberal Arts, Twin Cities. Lisa Warren, Associate Vice President, Chief of Staff, Office of the Vice President for Research, Twin Cities. And Julie Johnston Westland, Director, Career and Intern Services, Duluth. Please join us in congratulating the recipients of this year's President's Award for Outstanding Service. Now the National Scholarship recipients. When I call your names, please join us at the front of the room. First recipients of the Fulbright Award this year. Brooke Chambers, Sociology, College of Liberal Arts in the Twin Cities campus. Rachel Dame, Public Policy, Humphrey School of Public Affairs. Samantha Helly, Natural Resources Science and Management, College of Food, Agriculture, and Natural Resource Sciences. And Rebecca Moen, Plant and Microbial Biology, College of Biological Sciences, Twin Cities. The following Fulbright winners were unable to be with us this morning. Kathleen Francis in Psychology, College of Liberal Arts in the Twin Cities. Shah Kothari, Plant and Microbial Biology, College of Biological Sciences in the Twin Cities campus. And Augustus Pendleton, Microbiology, College of Biological Sciences. Congratulations to our Fulbright Award winners. One more, and then we'll take some pictures, don't worry. And the next is the recipient of the Goldwater Scholarship, Matthew DeJong, Chemical Engineering, Material Science, College of Science and Engineering, Twin Cities. And our recipient this year of the Udall Scholarship could not be with us this morning, and it's Christopher Smith, American Indian Studies, CLA in the Twin Cities campus. Congratulations to this year's National Scholarship winner. We also have some elite student athletes at the university, and we have 4 national championship honors to present that we've achieved during the 2018-19 academic year. I was a little at doubt of what order I should do these in, but some of you may be aware that the chair of the board is from Duluth, so I didn't really have a choice.
He's not alone, Mr. President. There's 2 of us.
Yeah. Regent Kenyatta, you are not yet the chair, though. Just wait. So we're going to do our men's hockey team from Duluth. If you're here, please come up to the front as I call your name. I think Dave McMillan's going to give his hat. Yes, he is. Then Pat, Hunter Shepard, Jared Hilderman, Riley Tuff, Nick Wolf. None of you guys are here? You're supposed to come up when I call your names. 2 more. Oh, you're just going to, thanks, Josh, for letting me know that. I feel a lot better. Good. Parker McKay, Billy Ixel, Peter Krieger, Jade Miller, Kobe Bender, Nick Deary, Louis Roll, Nick Swanee, Kobe Ruth, Justin Richards, Scott Perudovich, Tanner Lederote, Hunter League, Noah Cates, Dylan Sandberg, Jesse Jocks, Jake Rosenbaum, Mikey Anderson, Jackson Cates, Matt Anderson, Cole Kepke, and Andrew Dietrich. And Scott Stanlin is their coach, and this is their trophy. Congratulations. Well, carry it like a small baby. Next up is the national diving champion from the Twin Cities, Sarah Bacon. Sarah here? Very good. With coaches Kelly Krimmer and Winbo Chen. If the coaches are here, you're welcome to join too. You can put it on. Next, track and field champion from Duluth, Danielle Colway, and her coach Laura Harmon. She's coming in June. She'll be a month late. Well, that's a good reason. Okay. She's competing. I'm the last to know things sometimes. Let me try again. National champion in gymnastics from the Twin Cities, Shane Wiskus. He's coming in June. Very good. Congratulations to all of you. And that concludes our award ceremony. Thank you to each of the faculty and staff and students who bring such distinction to the University of Minnesota.
Congratulations to you. Realize when we rode up on the elevator. Yeah. We're going to try our best. Absolutely. Best of luck to all of you. Well, yeah. Are you headed back? Did you get your paper? Oh, okay. Like you're gonna have any more time?
You can.
my service does coincide nicely. Look at yours. 7 to 19.
Right.
All right. Just curious. Apparently it's difficult. I just didn't know if it was hard. You got Sviggum working the room. He's running for re-election. Oh, they got a presentation. All right, so we'll wrap it in here.
All right, we ready to restart and dig into our morning's business? Looks like our 11 present regents are reconvening here. So with that, I would move to item 2, which is approval of minutes. But before I do that, I want to note for our new regents that given the fact you've not been regents for even 24 hours at this point and probably barely had time to read materials and prepare, although I know all of you are quite prodigious in your capabilities, it is perfectly okay, and I'm not encouraging it, just want to be sure you know that, voting yea or nay today on business items, there's a third option, and that's abstaining, and that will be understood by all. So just making a procedural point here that don't feel compelled to vote on anything that we take up for business that you don't feel prepared to vote on. So that takes us, let's see, now I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. They're in your materials. Moved, and is there a second?
Second.
Edits, corrections, thoughts about the minutes? Otherwise, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries, and we move to item 3. President Kaler.
Thank you, Chair McMillan. Spring is a season of change and celebration. It's also a season of opportunity and new beginnings. From fixing potholes to planting crops to graduating or to moving into a new role, we live in exciting times. It's also time to get outside of our comfort zones a bit, and I did that on my campus visits since we last met to Crookston, Duluth, and Rochester. At Crookston, I learned more about Crookston's nationally recognized pre-vet and equine science and management programs. I was delighted to participate in their end-of-year athletic and academic awards ceremony, and I rode a horse. At Duluth, I threw rocks for the first time with the med and pharmacy school curling teams, and I've molded various brown substances, from chocolate in the chem lab, highly edible, to taconite fillings, highly inedible, at the Natural Resources Research Institute. And at the University of Minnesota Rochester, I was the most enthusiastic student in a chemistry class. I got to spend time with UMR undergraduates and alumni who are working in the health sciences field with key private sector partners. It's hard to pick a highlight from these campus visits, but hearing from students, their hopes, dreams, frustrations, motivations, and experiences at the U was deeply inspiring. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who was involved in organizing these visits, including Chancellors Black, Carroll, and Holtzclaws, and their teams at UMC, UMD, and UMR. Morris is up next. I have the privilege of delivering the University of Minnesota Morris commencement address. Chancellor Baer and her team have put together a fantastic schedule, and I look forward to spending time with them on May 17th and 18th. In preparing this report, we had literally 20 pages of updates and narratives to share with you, so I'll just share a few. Last month was Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and the President's initiative to prevent sexual misconduct continued to move full speed ahead. On the Twin Cities campus, our student government leaders and other advocates, including a member of the Board of Regents, took part in developing the latest It Ends Here video, a powerful testament to how we as a university community can support victim survivors. Also in April, we joined the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine and 28 other institutions in founding an action collaborative on preventing sexual harassment in higher education. I'm grateful to Medical School Associate Dean Amanda Thurmalin and Chemistry Professor Phil Bowman for representing us in this work. The University of Minnesota's approach to prevention is being looked at as a national model, and I'm proud of the more than 1,000 faculty, staff, students, and senior leaders who have helped shape and champion our efforts locally and nationally. The U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs, that just sounds scary, completed their nearly 2-year audit of the U and found, quote, no apparent violations. We are delighted with that result. This is a really big deal and underscores the culture of compliance at our great university. Thank you to OGC, OHR, and the EOAA offices and others for their hard work and dedication. It really is extraordinarily unusual for this compliance program to not find issues at a major research university. The university's Institute for Advanced Study has been awarded a $1 million grant from the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation to develop a statewide, humanities-led environmental stewardship and community initiative that centers on respect for traditional indigenous ways of understanding the world. The Duluth, Morris, and Twin Cities campuses will all collaborate on this initiative, and I'm grateful for Executive Vice President and Provost Hansen's work on this as well. Our students across the system are doing meaningful and substantive work as well. One example is Access U, Beyond the Cities, which is a student initiative to uncover stories and create conversations about the experience of rural students at the University of Minnesota at Twin Cities. In April, the Office of the Vice President for Research and U of M Technology Commercialization hosts the 2019 Inventor Recognition event. The event celebrated the 455 university inventors whose technology has been licensed or patented between July of 16 and July of 18. During those 2 years, researchers submitted more than 800 disclosures of new inventions, and technology commercialization filed for more than 400 patents to protect the intellectual property behind some of these inventions. The Center for First Generation Student Success designated the University of Minnesota Crookston as a first forward institution for its commitment to improving experiences and advancing outcomes of first generation college students. In fall of 2018, 47% of all new incoming UMC students came from families in which their parents had not earned college degrees. As we just recognized, if you weren't paying attention, the University of Minnesota's Duluth Bulldogs won the men's national ice hockey championship. They beat the University of Massachusetts in the championship in Buffalo with a score of 3-0. This is their third national championship, 2011, 2018, and now 2019. All of these championships were won under Coach Scott Sandlin, who's in his 19th season with UMD. All of them were won when Dave McMillan was a member of the Board of Regents, and I was president. The last two having very little to do with their championships, so congratulations. In other news from UMD, the new HICOLA Chemistry and Advanced Materials Building, HCAMS, was chosen as a Finance and Commerce Top Project of 2018. Of nearly 100 nominations of projects completed, HCAM stood out among the best. And a celebration of that building will be held in July. In a new report by Environment America Research and Policy Center, the University of Minnesota Morris was ranked first among schools for renewable electricity generated on campus per full-time equivalent students. They produce 60% of their electrical needs with 2 commercial-scale wind turbines, and they power one of the residence halls with a 20-kilowatt solar installation. That's for your benefit, Regent McMillan. Scholarships abound. Morris has its second Boren Scholarship recipient in 2 years, Maya King, class of 2019, who will work with the CDC to tackle antibiotic resistance and study Portuguese in Mozambique after graduating next week. Morris is also graduating its first cohort of McNear Scholars, graduates headed for PhDs and master's programs at distinguished universities. Undergraduate research continues to be a vital part of the mission at the University of Minnesota Rochester. Graduating senior Liz Pearson from Cottage Grove was recently awarded an NIH fellowship. In closing, this morning we celebrated the outstanding achievements of our faculty, staff, and students at our great university. When I visited Crookston after spending time with incredible students, I commented, if I could invest directly in a person, I'd invest in these students. So in closing, I ask you, the Regents of the University of Minnesota, as well as the Minnesota Legislature and members of our broader shared community, invest in the University of Minnesota. invest in the future of our state and our society, and invest in these phenomenal people across our great university. I'm optimistic for all that is to come. With that, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I conclude my report.
Thank you, President Kaler, for that report, and thank you especially for seeding it liberally with references to energy and hockey. You can't stir my passions easier than those topics. I always correct you at great hazard, and the only correction to your report I'd note is that I think your curling friends that helped you get introduced to that sport would want you to call what you threw down the ice a stone, not a rock. But if you make them out of taconite, you can call them anything you want. So.
We'll continue that conversation offline.
All right. First of all, on a very personal and grateful note, I want to thank everybody that has supported me as I went through an unexpected couple of rounds of health challenges. One landing me squarely in the hospital flat on my back while you all did our work down here 2 Fridays ago. I'm moved and deeply, deeply grateful for the outreach across the board, the community that surrounds this university, my colleagues around this table who stepped up to keep governance moving forward when I wasn't here to do it, and in a very unique way, or let me also say our board staff, second to none, the professionals that staff that office, and now I can say without any qualification can handle almost anything that the world throws at them, and Brian, you and your team are to be commended. But in a I don't know that Dean Tolar stayed here, but I saw him earlier, but I will also say I never expected ever to gain a firsthand exposure to what the mHealth patient care experience is all about, and 3 nights at the UMMC hospital and now some ongoing outpatient work at our world-class clinics and surgery center has given me a firsthand experience of just how world-class the team of professionals is over at those facilities and how far Dean Tolar and James Hereford have moved the ball forward in that regard. My care's been exceptional, and I'm grateful, and I've shared that with Dean Tolar, and I need to do so with James Hereford. But beyond personal recognitions here and sharing of my gratitude, we had a great celebration at the top of the meeting, both outside the room informally, where most of the regents, I'm sure, if not all of you, got a chance to meet our outstanding faculty, staff, and some of our students. But again, I'll take this opportunity to offer the board's congratulations to everybody that we recognize this morning, whether they're here or were unable to attend. It reminds us of the incredible work that our students, staff, and our faculty accomplish each academic year, and this year in particular. This time of the calendar is also fun to look back on the past year and celebrate accomplishments, but most importantly, I think for me and most of my colleagues, commencement in many ways, it is the pinnacle of what we do here. We educate and share knowledge, and commencement ceremonies have been underway this week, and in this week and in the next couple of weeks, my colleagues and I have already or will participate in 30 ceremonies conferring degrees to graduates on all 5 campuses. So I think I speak for all of us when I say that that is an honor second to none to participate in those. And I'll conclude my report this morning with the appointment of a nominating committee. Every 2 years, in accordance with our bylaws, the board convenes. The board chair convenes a nominating committee that's charged with, again, under our bylaws, recommending a slate of candidates to serve in 4 offices: board chair, board vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. This year, the committee members will include myself and Regents Anderson and Her. I will serve as chair of the nominating committee, and we will present our recommendations at the board's annual meeting, which precedes the board's regular meeting on June 14th, and we'll deliver those results, I think in accordance with our bylaws, to the board 10 days ahead of that date. That concludes my report, and I move on to the consent report. And again, before I seek a motion on our consent report, I want to call your attention to one item, item C. Items A and B are quite regular, and you'll get used to those for our new regents. But Item C is a temporary housing arrangement delegation of authority to me for our incoming President-designate Joan Gable, as you all know and heard last night. Again, if you didn't know, East Cliff is going to be literally closing after Karen and Eric move out, and they will do significant utility work on that, and East Cliff needs to be vacant for a period of 4 to 6 months while those renovations occur. And approval of this item allows me as board chair to make arrangements with President-designate Gable for temporary housing. And she has selected an apartment, and due to the nature of apartment leases and her travel to Minnesota, it's our expectation that we would begin that lease before her July 1st start date so that she can begin to use that space, and would not exceed 6 months. And in your materials, there's some more figures in there about the top end. I believe we're being quite prudent in how we go forward with this, but I ask for your authority to, or your delegation of authority to me to finalize that lease arrangement. So that is item C, and I'll entertain questions if there are any. Otherwise, entertain a motion to approve the items A, B, and C on the consent report. It's moved.
Second.
Questions?
Second.
Thank you. So moved and seconded. Any questions for me or Brian? All right, we'll call a vote on that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. Thank you all. That takes us to our first substantive agenda item of the day here, and that is enrollment plans at Crookston, Duluth, Morris, and Rochester. So this is an item for action today, and I believe the chancellors are going to come up to the table, and we will, Eric, President Kaler, are you going to give us some preliminary thoughts here on this while they assemble?
Thank you, Chair McMillan. I will. I'll remind you that you heard a full presentation at your March meeting concerning the campus enrollment plans for the university's Crookston, Duluth, Morris, and Rochester campuses. As a refresher, please note that the enrollment plan for the Twin Cities campus is not included for consideration today because the board approved it in March of 2016. You've since heard annual reports and updates about the Twin Cities enrollment plan from Vice Provost McMaster. Today's resolution that you saw in March and is also repeated in your docket on page 84 states the board's support for the University of Minnesota, Crookston, Duluth, Morris, and Rochester campus enrollment plans. We are not going to have the chancellors repeat the formal presentations that you heard in March, but they are obviously here and available for questions or participate in your discussion. In closing, I want to preview another discussion the board will have in June. In March, the chancellors and Vice Provost McMaster commented on one of the university's system-wide strategic priorities outlined for the board last summer, which is an approach to enrollment with a system lens, leveraging all of our strengths and resources. The Mission Fulfillment Committee will learn more about system-wide strategic enrollment efforts in June. So with that introduction, Mr. Chair, I turn to you and the board to consider action on resolution that is in your docket. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, President Kaler. There's extensive materials in our dockets, and I don't know if we plan to have a highlight by each chancellor, or you want to open it up for questions. Right to questions. Very good. Well then, I would entertain a motion in order to bring this into discussion mode of approval of these 4 campus-specific enrollment plans.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Beeson. Is there a second? Second. All right, the 4 plans are before us for consideration and action now. We've already had an opportunity to review, but as you heard, the chancellors sit before us ready for us to dig in. So who'd like to start? Regent Swigum, please.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, much to the dismay of my very, very good friend, Regent Sue, I am going to just, for the record, state that Chancellor Holst's clause that I emailed you a month and a half ago after our March meeting. I, for one, am not very supportive of going to test optional admissions practice at Crookston or at any other school. members, I just think that ACT test scores, which by the way, we promote as a positive thing from the university to around the state, at least I do, and I've seen it in the president's report many times, the 28.4 average at the Minneapolis campus. I think it's the only small one part of an objective look at admissions as it's part of a holistic approach. And it's just a small part. And I think to throw it out the window, to discard it is the wrong thing to do. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I had an opportunity to email with the chancellor, and she kindly emailed me back and gave me the information as to why and the thought. And I think being creative for enrollment plans is a good thing. So I think, Mr. Chairman, it's something we should try, but I am not supportive at this time. And sorry, Mr. Sue. I realize that you are on the other side of the issue there, but I just think of some small objective look in our admissions policy is not a wrong or a bad thing. And so I've said enough.
Thank you, Regent Swigum. I want to add a framing thought to that commentary, and we appreciate that in your perspective, and then perhaps let Chancellor Holtz-Claus give us, an overview of their thinking, and then there's more regents that want to speak about it. But as I read this element of, you're very, well-written, I think creative, and bold in many ways approach to dealing with the enrollment challenges you have. My thoughts about test optional, I'm probably somewhere closer to the middle between Regents Hsu and Regent Swigum, if we want to make them bookends. I don't know if we should do that or not, but I'm a little more open to exploration, but share trepidation. And I express my trepidation this way. And as you answer Regent Swigum's, respond to his concerns and prep the board for, I think, a little discussion on this. I worry about things like accreditation and long-term implications of going to test optional. Are there long-term consequences of it that I'm sure you've thought through, in addition to trying to make short-term gains in a critical area? So before I call on a couple regents that have asked, let's let Chancellor Holtz-Claus respond, and then let's dig in. This is important stuff, so it's worth stopping and talking about. Chancellor Holtz-Claus.
Thank you, Chair McMillan, Regent Swigum, and Regents. When we brought this idea to you and this discussion to you, we were looking at this based upon what our data told us with our unique population. I think that each one of us at our campuses has very unique attributes of our students and things there. And as we began this exploration and deeper data analysis, the ACT was not one that was as predictive of the outcome of our students. We've been obviously following them for a number of years. The higher predictor for us was not ACT scores, our predictor of success and completion, but was their grade point average. And again, when you look at the literature and what the literature shows for our first-generation students, is we have the highest proportion first-generation students of any of the campuses. That also supports that students oftentimes do not have the background and the opportunity to have the more rigorous and robust preparation courses that oftentimes and other things that might give a student an advantage to receive a higher ACT score. Additionally, we have the highest proportion of students from rural and greater Minnesota. And again, the literature supports that students that come from rural backgrounds oftentimes do not score as high on the ACT scores as other students. And so it was for this and the data analysis that we did that we made the request to do this on a pilot project. And again, that the data would be analyzed obviously as we go and certainly within a 4-year time period. So that is why we made that recommendation and request that we be the test optional university, as I said, because it fits the demographic profile of the students, first generation, and a higher proportion of students from rural Minnesota. So I'd be happy to entertain your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Follow-up, Regent Swigum?
Just very briefly, and members, regents, and chancellors, I fully accept Chancellor Hostclass's explanation and response. I fully accept it. I think it's reasonable. The only thing I would add, and I can't find it in here right now, I'm looking through these pages, I couldn't find it, but I think in your narrative, you had said that at Crookston, we had a number of students with less than a 16, I believe it was ACT, no, that were more successful in their graduation rates than those with higher ACT. I thought I read that someplace.
There were, I was going to say Regents Swigum, there were several students who had it was a very small N that were accepted. I think it was 2 or 3 that had a low ACT score, and they graduated in 4 years with a high GPA. So that the N on that was very low, excuse me, but we did look at the larger N of our students who came in with high ACT scores and low GPAs, and they were not successful. And that N was large enough to be statistically significant.
And again, Mr. Chairman, I accept the explanation. I remember reading someplace that there were a number of students less than 16. They had the higher graduation rate, which is awesome. I think that's great. But from a decision-making standpoint, members, I wonder how much more flexibility do we need in the application process when we already accept students with less than a 16 on their ACT, which I explained to you in the email that we did back and forth. And it's not, again, I'm not going to make a big issue out of it, but it seems like we have significant flexibility there already, where we don't have to throw out the one objective measure that exists. And I've said enough, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Regent Swigum. Let's keep moving to some more Regent input here. And since now I bookended you, Regent Hsu, I'll go to you next. I don't know if that was fair or not, but you've had a long-standing interest in this, so let's hear your thoughts on any element of the Crookston plan, not just test optional.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, test optional means optional. It means that a student can get their application processed without submitting a test score. That's all it really is. And a vast majority will actually submit a test score. But the key thing that people forget about regarding test optional is once a school goes test optional, and a lot of them have, including University of Chicago, George Washington University, they've all decided they've all looked at their data and they've all seen the same thing, that high school GPA is actually the greatest indicator of success in college. And what you see when a school goes test optional is typically more applications, which is what we need. And you also see more diverse applications, or students of diverse backgrounds, including first-generation students. And as a land-grant university, I think we should be encouraging as many applications as we possibly can for the students that may not have the greatest test scores because they didn't do well that day and maybe couldn't afford to take the test multiple times, as many students do. And as the recent Varsity Blues admission scandal has taught us, there are ways to game the system where students can actually get more time to take a test, or in some cases have been able to bribe the proctors or have other people take the test for them. So I think looking, and this is kind of all new information because I frankly never really believed that you could cheat the system that way, but obviously people have been doing it for years. So I think, this is a test. I think we're going to see the results. I've personally talked to admissions directors at other schools and trustees at other schools, and they believe in it. I don't know of any school that has gone test optional and then changed back yet, but maybe there are some. But I think the majority of cases, people are happy with the success of their programs and their the admissions processes. Lastly, I'll just say that when we have empty seats at on our campuses, I think that's a shame. I think we should be able to attract students, and if this is one way to do it, then we should try it. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Hsu. Continuing on with some Board input here. Regent Anderson?
I'm going to get off the test optional. Is that okay?
Very good. We're all 4 campuses, and any element of those is open for question and comment.
Thank you, Chair McMillan. I'm going to ask all of you a question. My questions have to do with residence halls and where we're at on capacity. My intuition tells me that our more rural campuses at Crookston and Morris maybe have vacancies, and our more, I want to call them urban campuses. I hate to call it Duluth an urban campus because it sits on a beautiful hill up there. But we talked yesterday in finance about a new dormitory residence hall going up there and looking down the future. And Chancellor Carroll, you and I had a chance to talk about potentially in your urban setting in Rochester doing some unique things to get residence halls available. From my perspective, you know, I like the idea of giving all freshmen a chance to live in resident halls. I think I'm a parent myself, and it's a settling influence for parents knowing that their children are going to live in residence halls. Here on the Twin Cities campus, we've done some unique things that I'm in favor of. We've bought a couple apartment buildings, put them under university control, which allows us to control the rents, which can potentially influence them in a favorable way for total cost of attendance. It can drive the cost of attendance down if the students live there. So I guess my question is, I want to just a brief answer from each of you. Where are we with residence halls on your campuses? And you want to just start with Chancellor Carroll and go down the list?
Yeah, we can start on either end. That's fine. With your difficulty of categorizing Duluth, we're a perfectly and delightfully sized urban place in the middle of a rural oasis up there, Tom. So that's
Point taken.
let's start with the University of Minnesota Rochester Chancellor Lori Carroll and work to my right from there. Go ahead.
Chair McMillan, Regent, your perspective as a parent is aligned well with the evidence. So for traditionally aged undergraduates, being in structured community in residence life, both the first and second year increases retention and graduation within 4 years. Because we follow the evidence, we would like to accommodate all first and second year students in residence. And that's with student success right at the top of the list. Of course, that's really challenging. So the report from Rochester, as you heard in February, and this continues, is that our residence life facility is completely full. We've doubled up in every room that will accommodate that. And we are actively, as you can see within our plan that was presented in February, seeking a public-private partnership approach to mixed-use space that can accommodate at least 90% of our first and second year students. So that is part of our plan. And really, our enrollment growth rests on that facility's expansion.
Regent McMillan and members of the board.
Huh?
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'll just hold it. As Chancellor Carroll just mentioned, we are really so aware of the importance of student success and residing on campus. 97% of our freshmen stay on campus. And of course, as a new chancellor, I came and thought we needed to change that policy when I found that that was so high, that our students choose to live there. The sophomore year, it drops down to about 90%. And then our juniors and seniors is around 76% of our students live on campus. We would like to increase that, and we're working on strategies right now to increase the juniors and seniors to stay on campus, because we know of the literature and the success that happens when students are more apt to live on campus. We currently do have capacity, and because we have that capacity, that's why we're aggressively trying to market to the upperclassmen.
Chancellor Black.
Chair McMillan, Regent Anderson, and members of the board, one item Chair McMillan forgot to mention about Duluth is that we did have 10 inches of snow 2 days ago. but thanks to 50-degree weather, I think most of it is gone. But in terms of our housing needs, obviously that is part of our enrollment report, which you have seen, and then also yesterday you heard good information about our plans to build a new residence hall and dining facility. Currently, about 1/3 of UMD's undergraduate population lives on campus, which is probably a pretty good percentage for an institution like us. However, we do need more space, especially for first-year students. Past couple of years, we've had to house some of our first-year students in lounges of the residence halls. So what this new facility is going to do, it will be specifically focused on first-year students primarily. We've also had some of our first-year students living in some of our on-campus apartments. And we do the best we can with those, but again, it's not ideal space. And as Chancellor Carroll said, we are also very much attuned to the importance of a very positive and community-like experience for our first-year students. It makes an incredible difference in their college education. So we're very much attuned to that. We've been very strategic in developing plans for this new residence hall and dining facility to go along with it, and we very much appreciate your support for that.
And Chancellor Bear.
Chair McMillan, Regent Anderson, Regents. At Morris, because we are a undergraduate liberal arts college with an important residential model, our students, we have a high rate of students living on campus, especially among first years, over 90%. We encourage students to stay on campus, but even those who don't live on campus primarily live within a mile of campus. So we have a pretty tight community at Morris. We have extra capacity. Our challenge is around the fact that several of our residence halls are not ADA compliant. So that is a challenge for us, and we're hopeful that we can work on that as we move forward.
Thank you. Any follow-up, Regent Anderson?
I would just say I appreciate that report, and as the chair of the Finance and Operations Committee, it looks to me like we're not putting a lot of money away for Crookston and Morris in this capacity, although you talked about the ADA. We've got a residence hall in the works potentially in Duluth already, and Chancellor Carroll, with your private-public partnership, there's probably less long-term debt or leverage for the university that would be involved in that more so than a private partner. Is that correct?
It will be the build-out cost and the long-term lease that will come to your attention.
Okay, thank you. That does help you.
Thank you, Regent Anderson. Regent Beeson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and presenters. I'm going to support the resolution, but I do agree with Regent Sviggum, and I share his reluctance to adopt a test optional on what we're going to do here at Crookston. I think the Chancellor's made a compelling argument. I am surprised at the percent of students students of color and rural students who simply do not take the test, and that and so I think we need to create avenues for them at Crookston. I will remind people, though, we have a national expert on faculty, Professor Nathan Kunsel, who I would encourage people to, there's a TED Talk video about the subject in which he strongly advocates the use of standardized testing. Mitch Daniels, the president of Purdue University, who's sort of the lead in reform of American universities and is the corporatization, if you will, of American universities, strongly advocates, despite his reformist, is to keep standardized testing. It's a bigger conversation in terms of the Twin Cities, but I believe in having a standardized metric and having that as a tool, among others, in which to make and shape these classes. So, but I will, we've asked the chancellors to bring in their best ideas about what's going to work for their campuses. So I am persuaded by the chancellor for this particular campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Beeson. I'm just perusing the bullet points at the front end of, I guess, starting at page 59 of the Crookston Plan, and Chancellor Holmes-Claus, you used the term pilot a few minutes ago. I don't know whether that is in the documentation, but I think you're getting the sense here that there's probably many of us on the board thinking of it in that sense. So I don't know if that needs a comment, but is that the way you're thinking of it?
Chair McMillan, we are also thinking it as a pilot and data-driven to see what the data tells us.
Very good. Okay, Regent Powell.
Thank you, Chair McMillan, and thank you, presenters. So you guys have, I'm not telling you anything new, you have a really tough job. You have to design academic programs that, are right for your students and that, really are coherent and deliver what we need them to deliver. But you also have to figure out how to position your institution in a very competitive higher education marketplace, and you have to market to students. And Chancellor Holtz-Claus, you and I have talked a little bit about this, and I just want to say I applaud many of the elements of your plan, including your focus on unique programs at University of Minnesota Crookston, equine, pre-vet, software, aviation. I think that's really a good way to start to position. We've also talked about just the need to find and reach more potential applicants, and it takes resources to do that and maybe new thinking. And so I'm wondering if you can comment a bit on how in your plan you'll do that, and would love to hear from any of the other chancellors on this sort of marketing aspect of what we need to do to reach students and increase the size of the applicant pool.
Start with Chancellor Holmes-Claus, and then we'll give any others a chance that want to jump in on.
Chair McMillan, Regent Powell, and Regents, thank you for the opportunity to talk about some of those areas where we're looking at distinct marketing approaches. And although this is anecdotal, I will share with you one area that this past year, with very little funding, we've actually put an emphasis on the equine program. Last year, 2 years ago, we had 8 new freshmen. Last year, we did a small marketing area. We had around 18 freshmen who enrolled, and this year, although we're not sure if they'll all matriculate, but we have 55 students who have indicated an interest in the equine program. Part of that is because and we'll be bringing more of this to you next month as we talk about a system-wide approach to this, but the importance of pathway programs and to be engaged with, in this case, in this specific area, it was a natural group that we just needed to be a lot more aggressive about marketing to, for instance, the 4-H, which again is a really strong, wonderful program at the University of Minnesota. And so we are spending significant time working with the industry there, the horse groups, as part of the 4-H programs. Our students share in a term, I think it's hippology, which is the judging of horses. So those are natural areas, again, where one looks at, as we say in marketing, how are we different from, particularly in this really tight marketplace? So that's an anecdotal. I'll bring you real numbers once the fall begins. But those are just some areas where you said we've tried to be really responsive to the market. Another one, since I have the microphone, I'll take it for 30 seconds, is the Healthcare Administration Program, which is a fully accredited program online, which again is geared at, as a land grant, what are the natural areas that we need to be working with our communities, with our areas? And this provides a 4-year healthcare administration program with that, again, being as attentive as we can to each one of our unique marketplaces.
Thank you, Chancellor Holmes-Claus. I'm going to ask you not to talk about the equine opportunity, or Regent Rocha is going to be seeking a 3rd degree there shortly. Others that want to jump in, or Regent Powell, do you have follow-up?
Well, if anyone else want to jump in on the marketing piece, or?
Yeah,
Chancellor Black.
Chair McMillan and Regent Powell, everything we've been doing over the last several years has been very strategic at UMD to really focus on our strengths and how we distinguish ourselves, not only within the state, but with our national peers and competitors. We are very focused on the undergraduate experience with really outstanding programs in the liberal arts and professional schools We also have outstanding graduate programs in selected areas in which we have particular excellence. And one of the ways we distinguish ourselves is we have this combination of strong focus on undergraduate education, but in terms of overall research, if you look at the external funding for research at UMD, we are far beyond everyone else in the state except for the Twin Cities campus and most of our peers. And as you and I talked at dinner last night, where that research oftentimes focuses on fresh water, the natural environment, Great Lakes, but it also has a reach in areas of the community in terms of social work, in terms of the social sciences, our Native American programs, our Masters of Tribal Administration and Governance, which has been so successful that we now have a bachelor program that also focuses on tribal administration. Those kinds of things we will continue to focus and champion, and we're very keyed into those things that we do well.
Thank you.
I think
others, Chancellor Barry, you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Chair McMillan, Regent Powell. We are in the middle of a strategic visioning and planning process that is designed in part to help us to more clearly define and elevate those things that we do well and make us competitive in the marketplace. We are focused on building 21st century liberal arts experiences for our students and thinking about being a national leader in that way and taking advantage of the fact that we are in Morris, which is in many ways an exceptional and interesting and forward-thinking rural community. So our new sustainability leadership minor and other programs like that fit into things that we've been doing on campus for a long time and also help us to take advantage of our location and talk about Morris as an advantage rather than a detriment, and then work on that message.
Thank you. I've got three regents still interested in speaking. This is a great dialogue, and I'm skipping Chancellor Carroll. So without, go ahead with a quick response if you want to add on. Please, Chancellor Carroll, sorry.
That's right, Chair McMillan, Regent Powell. We're in the process of using our newly identified 6 academic pathways to influence the way in which we're recruiting. So as we expand within health to focus on emerging health technologies, as well as resilience and well-being, the business and leadership of healthcare, and so forth, it is influencing the way in which we are talking to prospective students. At the same time, we're identifying new high schools, new markets for potential students based on their success with first-generation students and other categories of underrepresented students, and based on their curriculum and its connection to our pathways within health. As we identify those new schools, we are also very much focused on a kind of student who has high resilience, who has struggled through something in childhood or adolescence related to health, that provides exceptional motivation and drive. We measure that resilience, and it's part of the holistic review. As such, the recruitment that we're doing is very much relationship-based, as is our whole community as students enter. And so that particular piece of our recruitment influences the new markets into which we are going to be going in the coming year.
Thank you. Regent Powell, you look anxious to have a little follow-up on that point.
Thank you, Chair McMillan. Just a comment and then a quick last question. Partly because I'm an old marketing guy, but partly because I really do think that figuring out, our core purpose and how we're going to position ourselves and bringing the resources to support that message, I think it's critical to our enrollment plan. And we really can't get to where we want to go unless we've thought that through and we execute really well. So I appreciate the comments and the work that you're doing here. One final and quick question, Chancellor Carroll, in your enrollment plan, we've got sort of bolder and boldest, and I guess it's one, remind me of why it's, why we're framing it that way. It seems like your mission is so clear and the trajectory seems so promising. Are we at the point where we ought to sort of say, here is the path, here's what we're expecting to happen over the next 5 years?
I do consider the 3 stages to be Chair McMillan, Regent Powell. I do consider these 3 stages to be stages of the same path, not separate alternatives. So first, we're bold. And what we need to be bold includes expansion of facilities in which our students can live, as well as faculty space. When we have that, we can accomplish the bold enrollment goal, letting quality drive quantity all the way. When we're there, there will be additional needs, facility and human resources. And when we accomplish those, contingent on accomplishing those, we'll be ready to move very quickly toward the next segment of the journey, and the same for the boldest. But each one is contingent on particular kinds of resources, and we want to let quality drive how speedily we move through those 3 stages. But they are not options, they are phases.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we've got Regent Rocha, Regent Kenyanya, and Regent Simonson. I'm going to quell my driving interest in time management in the spirit of keeping this excellent dialogue alive as we proceed to vote on these. So, Regent Rocha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just a quick comment on the last exchange between Regent Powell and Chancellor Carroll. It's so interesting because from a marketing standpoint, if you're selling screwdrivers, you're not really worried about if the buyer is good at using a screwdriver, right? I mean, we're looking for not only customers, but the right customers that do these things. And so the challenge is really, it brings home the challenge that you do face in that regard. On the proposal in front of us, this is a really good conversation and certainly a good one for people that are going to be providing their input and expertise and thoughts on this as we go into the strategic planning. I mean, this is such a fundamental part of the system. Who you're admitting and how many you're admitting has such an substantial impact on the strategic direction of the institution. And so this is really well timed. I thought these were very thoughtful, well-planned plans. And I would also note that as we go into the strategic conversation and as we go through a budgeting cycle, the resources we provide will have such a tremendous impact on whether you can achieve the goals that you're setting out in these plans. And so that's something that I think has to be at the forefront as we go forward, not just in this conversation, but in the other conversations that all obviously intertwine. One of the things that I also wanted to highlight is about using our capacity. And some of us have had opportunities to have those conversations, because it has such a huge impact in multiple ways. It affects our ability to meet our mission. It impacts public perception of the University of Minnesota as a resource for the entire state, and obviously the system campuses are at the forefront of that. It also influences public support for the institution. The fact that, as people see themselves and their children, their friends, their neighbors having access to the university, they see the university as a resource. If they don't know people that are accessing this, it's a harder sell. The state needs to continue to provide this support. And also, when you're at capacity, it provides resources and economies that allow you to make it a better experience for everybody that's on your campuses. And for small campuses, I think it's particularly important. I do want to make a couple quick comments about in the ACT discussion. I share my colleague Regent Svigum's desire to find an objective way. There are many values to it. One, we want to make sure we're admitting the right folks. We want what would be a fair process. But there are some issues with the using standardized tests in that regard. One of them is we're already using a whole student approach, even on the Twin Cities campus. So that application of the objective standard is actually applied differently among different populations. So we already know that to some extent is occurring. But for me, and we've heard a couple people talk about it, with respect to Crookston, we're not really worried about this so much as a predictor issue in terms of does this predict their likelihood of success. It's about ensuring people are applying. And that if this is a barrier to application, particularly for campuses where we have that kind of capacity, then at some point it's hurting more than it would be helping. And so I'll bring back with respect to the chair, a hockey analogy. Well, one of the things about standardized tests that's always been a little bit odd, and standardized tests generally treated me pretty well, but I've never thought of them as significant as I think the marketplace of standardized tests markets them as. And the hockey reference is that I've never liked shootouts because you got a 60-minute game and it's a team sport, and then the game's decided by one-on-one single capacity. So you could have the best team, but if you lack the best sharpshooter, you might end up losing a game that you probably should have won. Standardized tests don't really approximate the educational experience, nor does it necessarily approximate real life. You don't walk into an institution, take a standardized test, and they hand you a degree. It's a long process. And the GPA, of course, would approximate, I think, a little bit more about that. Now, that's just sort of my personal bias and my theory. But I'm not quite ready to throw them out entirely, but I believe I fall closer up to the Regent Shoe side of the continuum on that. Finally, I'm excited about it. I think this is our first opportunity for an incubator. See how this works in this circumstance, and I think within a couple of years, and you'll have the opportunity, I think, with us to take a look. And frankly, if it's not yielding the results, and we see that it's become problematic, I'll move to the SVIGM side of the continuum in that regard. But I look forward to an email from my colleague Regent Beeson with a link to that TED Talk, because I'm always interested in the dialogue. But that's where I sit right now, and so I enthusiastically support this plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Rocha. Regent Kenyanya.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the plan. Let me preface by saying I only had a chance to skim it, and I think maybe my questions will make that clear. But first, I have perhaps a follow-up to the conversation that Regent Anderson started about capacity. When we talk about capacity, naturally and logically, we think about space. But I wanted to hear what other ways we think of capacity, because it's, if you have the beds and you can put the students there, but they can't get into the classrooms, they can't get into the prereqs, the cafeteria is full, they can't get on a squat rack at the gym, then, do we really have the capacity for them? So I'd like to hear a bit about that from anyone, and then I have a question of my own after that.
Very good. Other capacity measures? Let's start with Chancellor Behr.
Chair McMillan, Regent Kenyanya. Yes, there are, of course, all kinds of other capacity questions. I believe at Morris right now we have capacity in terms of classrooms and in terms of faculty. We do have some challenges around athletics. We have a really old facility that was built at a time when there was really only one gender playing sports. So we have those kinds of challenges, but I believe we have additional capacity.
Chancellor Black.
Yes, Chair McMillan and Regent Kenyanya. As you well know, we have many space challenges at UMD, literally completely out of office space for faculty and staff. Many of our buildings are still good structures, but they desperately need renovation to bring them up to code. The A.B. Anderson building, which is part of our capital request, and thank you very much, all of you, for your support of that. That is a building that we've literally had to stop offering classes on some days in August. So yes, indeed, it can be too hot in Duluth some days because it's just there's lack of ventilation, and the heat and atmosphere is such that it's not safe for our faculty and our students. So all of that is to say that we don't just need more space, but we need a better condition of the space that we have. And in fact, that's where we're putting our focus right now at UMD, is on renovation more than building more and more new buildings. Because, as I say, these older buildings are still useful, but they desperately need code upgrades, and they need the alterations of new learning environments that we're experiencing now and that our faculty and students are interested in, that are much different from the learning environments 30, 40, or 50 years ago.
Chancellor Holmes-Claus, I'm going to ask everybody to just be speedy here now as we do get a little deeper into our agenda. But your
Chair
turn.
McMillan, Regent Kenyanya. I will echo exactly what my other two colleagues said, particularly as they relate to the need in, we've had some updates, but the needs in laboratories, many of them are the original ones when the university started, and we've been able to upgrade those. And another important aspect for us is we are Division II athletics, and from a strategic enrollment management, athletics is very important to our on-campus students, but many of our facilities are ones that, as you said, were designed, as you'd indicated, when there was only one sex that was involved in the sports.
Chair McMillan, Regent Kenyanya, thank you for the question. At Rochester, embedded in our enrollment plan is a request for additional financial resources to address this very question of capacity. So in addition to facilities, if we are to continue with our outstanding educational outcome of equity, no achievement gap, then our human resources will need to grow. And so we've asked for one-time dollars to assist us in that growth. Our student success coaches and faculty will need to increase to keep the low ratios that are fueling this magnificent outcome of equity. And that's really key to us, and the capacity we need will be in the human resources.
Thank you. So the field of economics is going to come into play here for the Board of Regents, unlimited needs and limited resources as we go forward. But I say that partly in jest. Regent Kenyanya, you had a quick follow-up?
Briefly. So this is a little different. In looking at the report, when I think of enrollment and, trying to fill our universities, to me, it's obvious that we should prioritize keeping the students we have there rather than investing resources and bringing others. So I was looking at retention and 4-year grad rate and 6-year grad rate. I didn't see much data for Crookston. I saw some from Morris, and it doesn't look like that's maybe a primary issue for Rochester. I could be wrong about that. But in looking at, so for example, Duluth, the 4-year grad rate is quite frankly pretty bad, and that's not news. I was aware of that. But what stood out to me is that the 2023 goal is 1.5% higher than the current 4-year grad rate, and I'm not questioning that number or what it should be. You guys are the experts. My question is, what do we need to do? Where do we need to invest if we want to increase those numbers in a much bolder fashion and keep the students that we bring on as freshmen?
In the interest of time, I'm going to ask Chancellor Black to respond to that and hold off on the others. But Chancellor Black?
Yeah, and I'll be brief and offline. We can talk in more detail about this as you would like. Our 4-year rate has continued to increase quite a bit. We were at 39.2% in 2000 for the 2011 entering class, and for the 2014 entering class, we're up to 46.6%. And I think a lot of that has been driven by our focus very much on retention. Our strategic enrollment management plan on campus has been very, very much focused there. We've actually received some system resources a few years ago, some seed money to help with some retention efforts. So it's very much top of mind for us, and to me it's multifaceted. It's both recruiting but also retention. We've also been highly focused on improving the retention rates of our students of color, and we're seeing some increases there as well. So it's ongoing. It's never easy, but we're committed to continue to see those numbers increase.
All right, I'm going to call on Regent Simonson for our last question, and then we're going to take a look at the resolution on page 87 of our materials.
Thank you, Chair
Regent
McMillan.
Simonson.
Thank you, Chancellors. Couple of comments, one with regards to marketing, one with testing. Excuse me. I had a meeting with the local extension a couple of weeks ago in Worthington. As you know, extension's all over the state, and they meet with the local kids in so many ways. And so we were discussing that, and then the discussion led to how could extension be used to help market. We don't do that today very well, I don't think. I don't know how we can move that forward, but I think they could be part of that program for all campuses, not just an individual campus, and bring that information to the local community. And so I don't know how we move forward with something like that, if it makes sense. Talk about resources and stuff like that. I think you could help with that cost as well. An example of, I was talking to Chancellor Holtz-Klaas this morning, and talking about the aviation program that you have, right? You were telling me about. People in Worthington would love to hear about that. I don't think they have that information. And so I think working through extension would be another way of doing that. I don't know how to move that forward. But anyway, then as far as standardized testing, I have a lot of personal experience with that. My daughter, who today has a PhD, I think she was I can't remember exactly, low 20s, okay? She got a PhD today. She had good grades in high school. You're looking at somebody that barely got out of high school. I had less than a 2-point, but I tested well. Okay, so I see this thing as all over the board. Standardized testing versus testing optional. My experience is it's up to the person and how we can evaluate the individual.
Thank you, Regent Simonson. I'm going to, we've got a motion to adopt the resolution on page 87 of our materials. We've had considerable discussion, excellent input. Thank you to our 4 chancellors. You lead incredibly consequential parts of our system and help us bring a system together to be a system. And I think you've appreciated the depth of the board's interest here today. And if there isn't any further discussion, I'd ask, I'm going to call a vote on the resolution on page 87. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Very good. That matter carries, and we move to item 7, which is a resolution related to alcoholic beverage sales in Williams Arena, the Churi Pavilion, and 3M Arena at Mariucci. And I see our athletic director and the president's chief of staff approaching here, or seating themselves. So for the board's information, this item is just for review today, not for action. But we'll have our first opportunity to hear directly and to expand upon the materials that were sent to all of you about this proposal. So I don't believe President Kaler had any framing remarks, so we'll start with either Chief of Staff John Stedland or Athletic Director Mark Coyle. Welcome to both of you. I don't know which of you is planning to frame it up, and then you take it in your order.
Great. Thank you, Chair McMillan and members of the board. We appreciate the opportunity to bring forward the resolution today regarding alcohol sales in Williams Arena and Churi Pavilion, and also in 3M Arena at Mariucci. As noted in your docket materials, Minnesota state statute authorizes the university through Board of Regents approval to hold liquor license for events in Northrop, TCF, and no more than 7 additional venues on campus. The university currently holds license for 8 venues, including Williams Arena and 3M Arena at Mariucci. Among the 3 athletic venues on the Twin Cities campus, TCF Bank Stadium, which as authorized in a board resolution in 2012, is the only venue to serve beer and wine in the general seating areas, along with the premium areas such as stadium suites, the indoor club, the DQ club. This same 2012 resolution also authorized the sale and service of beer and wine in Mariucci, in Williams Arena and then Mariucci Arena, in specifically designated areas within the arenas to be determined by the administration. Since the adoption of this resolution, however, beer and wine have been served and sold only in the premium spaces of the 2 arenas. Regarding the Williams Arena Churi Pavilion complex, despite the 2012 resolution referring only to Williams Arena, the liquor license from the state refers to Williams Arena and Sports Pavilion as the venue due to the contiguous nature of the spaces and the fact that both venues share the same business address. And the resolution before you today reflects the fact that the license applies to Williams Arena and Churi Pavilion jointly. And I'll now hand this off to Athletics Director Coyle to discuss the specifics of the proposal for the sale and service of the alcoholic beverages in the 2 arenas.
Good morning, Chair McMillan and Regents. And following up on John Stedland's comments, for the past several months, we've been working closely with our campus partners to make sure we gather as much information as we could. Those include having conversations with the University of Minnesota Police Department, risk management, student affairs, Boynton Health, and Contract Administration units who are all supportive of this plan to move forward, pending your approval. In addition, we would follow our best practice that we've utilized at TCF Bank Stadium. Obviously, our number one goal is to provide a safe and fan-friendly environment. In addition, we would make sure that all sellers are trained and certified to sell beer and wine at these events. We would limit the number of beverages to 2 beverages per person, per purchase. We would obviously check IDs, and then we would have signage talking about drink responsibly at all of our venues and be supportive of that. Our plan is to, currently in football, we stop the sale of beer and wine at the end of the third quarter. And with men's and women's basketball, we would stop it at the conclusion of halftime. And with men's hockey and 3M Arena at Mariucci, we would stop those sales at the end of the second intermission break. Again, from a fan experience, if you recall, when I was brought here 3 years ago, we put together a fan advisory council, which was made up of outside individuals to our department, and we've had these conversations with them. They're supportive of this move. I can tell you when I do events across the state, we hear feedback from our fans that they feel like this would enhance the fan experience. So again, we're hopeful that we can have your support and move forward in this direction.
And just one final note, in addition to the units that this has been reviewed by on campus, the proposal has also been reviewed by the university's Alcohol License Oversight Committee, which reviews all applications for liquor licenses and makes recommendations to the president. So it's been consulted with UMPD, General Counsel, Office for Student Affairs, and the other units that Athletics Director Coyle mentioned. And with that, we are more than willing to answer any questions you may have about this.
All right. Thank you both. Let's open. Okay, I see a couple of, we'll start with Regent Beeson and then Regent Hsu, and let Brian or I know if others. Go ahead, Regent Beeson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Stedlin, Athletic Director. I support the resolution. I think it's well thought out, and we've had time and experience in managing serving alcohol here, and it's been a good experience. I'm now, as a senior member of the board, I can remember back our vote to not allow any sales of liquor in the public area of TCF Stadium, and legislature gave us a swift kick on that, and we changed that ultimately, and it turned out to be a good decision. I wouldn't mind, I mean, I would vote for it if we could see our way to getting a license extended for baseball and softball too, and I don't know whether that's possible, but those are sizable crowds, and that would be another revenue source and an enhancement to those athletic contests.
Chair McMillan and Regent Beeson, one of the conversations I think from a legislative strategy will be for the next administration to think about whether we look to change the statute around this too. I don't know exactly where the number of 9 total licenses came from. Currently, we have use of 8. And so if we were to expand that to multiple venues like baseball and softball, and I'll defer to Athletics Director Coyle on the desire for that, but there would need to be a conversation about additional licenses as well.
Follow up, Regent Beeson.
Thank you. Well, that reminds me, I was going to ask about trying to create an entertainment district, so that would be a single license around the athletic campus. That would take maybe state law change, but that seems more logical than having these individual place-based licenses.
The other factor at play here is that I think we need to utilize all 9 of these across the system. So there's 4 other campuses with needs too. So anyhow, Director Coyle, did you have a response to Regent Beeson?
Chair McMillan and Regent Beeson, thank you for the question. I think when you look at baseball and softball, as we've done with looking at Williams Arena and 3M Arena at Mariucci and Matri Pavilion, we've got to look at our infrastructure as well and trying to get those facilities ready if that's something we did go down the road moving forward with. So we'd have to look at the infrastructure at the facilities as well.
All right, thank you. Regent Hsu.
Thank you, Chair McMillan. Thank you, presenters. I'm surprised this topic hasn't come up sooner, but I'm supportive of it. I think we need to be competitive with other venues in town. We have one of the most competitive sports environments in the country, and if this particular issue can help us sell tickets and build attendance, I think that's all positive. And I think you've been aware of the safety issues. I've reviewed the data on alcohol-related incidents, and I think it's fairly insignificant. In fact, I think some of it has to do with the pre-gaming effect, which is caused by the fact that we don't sell alcohol inside the stadiums. People consume mass quantities before they even come in, and sometimes that leads to problems once they get in. Not just in terms of the processing of alcohol by their bodies, but also the potential for fights and that kind of thing. So I do believe that I agree with Regent Peace, and we should look at expanding this even further. In fact, being that the women play basketball in Williams Arena, I would think that we should consider serving alcohol at women's events as well. Ritter, being the hockey venue, is a different location technically, so maybe that would require another license, but I think that we should look at that as well. One of the last things I want to say is just that I think we should be competitive with the Timberwolves in terms of the timing of when we actually serve. And I don't know, I haven't been to a Timberwolves game for a while, and I don't know when they stop serving alcohol there, but I could see going into the second half a little bit, maybe 10 minutes into the second half or something. But other than that, I support this, and I think it'll be good. I hope you guys are able to beat the projections that you put out, because while every dollar helps, I think we should maximize our opportunity here. Thank you.
Director Coyle, any thoughts?
Chair McMillan and Regent Hsu, we appreciate your comments, and this would include women's basketball at Williams Arena. That would be part of the process. And with respect to the timing, in conversations with our campus partners, I understand your question. At the same time, we also look at, how much time is left till the end of the game before patrons leave the facility, and that kind of dictates some of the timing issues in terms of when you stop selling the beer and wine at the venues.
Thank you. Regent Rocha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an interesting topic. For me, it'll move us past something that's made me uncomfortable, which is the fact that some of our fan base has had access at these events and others have not. I've never been very comfortable with that, and I think that goes a little bit to what the legislature was saying with respect to TCF. We have had some feedback, very thoughtful feedback from people about the environment and the circumstance and having a family-friendly experience. I would, as a parent of small kids yet, that's very important to me. I know the athletic director has young offspring as well, and so I trust that has been a big part of your analysis. I take my kids to Twins games, I take them to the state fair, I take them to other places where alcohol is sold, and I have so far, we've been fairly pleased that we haven't run into issues of that nature. So same with our football, we haven't experienced that either. I have no problem taking my children to those events either. So I'm happy about that, and I believe that you've put considerations in here that should continue to preserve that family environment. So I at least want to just for the record note that we've all had that kind of input, and at least from my perspective, I'm comfortable that we're making a reasoned determination. As a longtime season ticket holder to many of these events, I would, on the one point that Regent Hsu just brought up, when I think about just the timing, and this is pretty deep down into the details of this thing, going into the second half a little bit, oftentimes during half times, especially when your team is on its way to a national championship and the place is packed, you still have a long line when the second half starts. And so maybe just a consideration whether there are a few minutes, 5 minutes into the second half, something of that nature. Because sometimes, I know for me, I'll wait till the half is over and miss a couple seconds of the next half because I know the line's shorter. And so just those kinds of things. I mean, as a fan, and part of why we have citizens boards is, we bring some of that input. Something that you might want to consider before we bring this to action is maybe giving just a little bit more of a time in there. Not so much from a revenue generation standpoint. I'm not really looking to push alcoholic beverages, but from a quality experience standpoint, I think there's value in that. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Regent Rocha. So you've got some feedback there from the board, and this matter will come back to the full board at our regular June meeting. Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right, we had a busy and active day yesterday with our full slate of committee work. And Regent Powell, given yesterday's developments at the legislature, I think you've picked up some reporting duties here. We have, starting with the report of the Mission Fulfillment Committee. We have some action items there, I know.
Yep, thank you, Chair McMillan. The Mission Fulfillment Committee had 4 action items this month. First, the committee unanimously recommends approval of the promotion and tenure recommendations for regular faculty candidates as presented by the senior academic officers of the University of Minnesota, and I move approval of the promotion and tenure recommendations for regular faculty.
All right, that comes from a committee. It does not need a second, and I'd ask for a discussion on that recommendation if there is any. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Your second item, Regent Powell.
The committee unanimously recommends approval of the promotion recommendations for contract faculty as presented by the senior academic officers of the University of Minnesota, and I move approval of the promotion recommendations for contract faculty.
Very good. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item 3.
The committee unanimously recommends approval of the annual continuous appointment and promotion recommendations for academic professionals as presented by the senior academic officers of the university. I move approval of the annual continuous appointment and promotion recommendations.
All right, that motion's properly before the board. Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries as well. And your last item of business.
So finally, in our final action item, the committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of the consent report, which includes academic program additions, changes, and discontinuations, conferral of tenure for outside hires, and conferral of faculty emeritus title. I move approval of the consent report.
Adoption of the consent reports before the board. Discussion? Then we'll vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Regent Powell. Does that conclude your report?
It does.
It does. I want to interject here and again thank Provost Hanson for an exceptional committee presentation yesterday with an awful lot of our academic talent lined up there. So, great day. Audit and compliance. I think with the departure of our chair of that committee, you as vice chair are providing that report as well.
Indeed I am. We had no action items this month, but we did have several discussion topics. First, we review the audit and non-audit services provided to the university by external audit firms, including Deloitte, who serves as our external auditor. Our partners from Deloitte joined us for the next item. The committee reviewed the external audit plan for fiscal year 2019. This will be the 3rd audit in the 4-year contract we currently have with Deloitte. This plan sets forth the audit scope, objectives, and approach the auditors will use. Members from the Deloitte engagement team shared the plan and discussed their assessment of audit risks, testing approach, and timeline for the audit activities. And then Chief Compliance Officer Coomer provided the committee with a semi-annual report, which is in the docket materials. And I encourage you to review it. And he also discussed the compliance risk review process using 2 examples of recently completed reviews. In our final discussion item, the committee provided input to Chief Auditor Klatt about items to consider for the committee's 2019-2020 work plan. And that, Mr. Chair, concludes my report.
Thank you, Regent Powell. On to litigation review. Regent Beeson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Litigation Review Committee met yesterday, and at the meeting, we adopted a resolution that authorized the closing of the meeting to discuss matters subject to attorney-client privilege.
Thank you. Regent Anderson, you also had a number of action items.
Thank you, Chair McMillan. The Finance and Operations Committee acted on 3 items this month. The committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of the purchase of properties on Erie Street Southeast in Minneapolis. I move approval of this real estate transaction.
All right, that matter is before the board from the Finance and Operation Committee. It needs no second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carry on, Regent Anderson.
The committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of the resolution related to the organization 2515 University Avenue Southeast, LLC. I move approval of this resolution.
Is there a discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay.
And matter carries.
For the third and final item, the committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of the consent report, which that included the Central Reserve's general contingency, purchase of goods and services over $1 million, the appointment of an employment agreement for the Dean of the College of Liberal Arts Duluth campus, a new employment agreement for a Twin Cities campus men's basketball head coach, and 3 East Cliff improvement projects. I move approval of the consent report.
Discussion on items in the consent report. All right, we'll vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you, Chair McMillan. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Regent Anderson. And we did not have governance and policy today, given our recognition of academic and student athlete outcomes. So we do not have a report from you, Regent Rocha, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, that takes us to item 12 on the agenda. Is there any old business before the board? Any new business? No new business. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. We stand adjourned.